This doesn't make sense. If you're trying to block and hit a person, why would you twist your entire body up like a big spring? Idea number one, and two, instead of blocking and striking, would be something along the lines of blocking, holding, so absorbing, holding a person at bay, drawing them in, letting them push, then slipping their guard, going into a tight clinch, using the catching movement at the back to hold on, to pump with the knee and the head. So this would be like idea number one. Let's see how it goes. So your hands are up, you're in this kind of thing, and your opponent is applying a lot of pressure forward at you, and you want to stop them. So what you're going to do is put one hand on their chest, other hand to draw an arm, and to try and hold them back. So you're trying to hold your opponent back, he's going to push in, you might even slip your guard. That's where you step in, and knee, headbutt, and throw. We're up, we're here, pulling and striking is quite common. One, his hand, you'll notice his hand is already here to protect. So I use press, clear, and knee. And this is very similar to Seipai Bunkai, Bunkai. The idea of you're in here, cross his arms, tie him up. One, clear. And again, pull, strike, knee kick, until something else happens. Use your body coming back and your hand pulling back. Maybe you grab the hair, maybe you grab the jacket, and use that to try and destabilize your opponent. The ground is a very, very important part of combat. We tend to underestimate it because we have this notion that we need to be standing upright, kind of Marquis of Queensbury rules, standing and boxing away, and that we're not allowed to fight dirty. The reality, however, is that the more you engage in real combat, the more you realize that there is not a question of whether a fight is clean or dirty. It's just a question of whether you're going to win or you're going to lose. And you have to do anything that allows you to win. I have an older brother who is quite notorious for being the guy that would hit you with a dustbin or a pick handle, because that's what he would do to win a fight. He's 5'0", and you know, if push comes to shove, that's how he would win fights as a young man. He didn't care whether or not he had a reputation, that he didn't fight clean. He just fought to win. And that is the difference, is you need to fight to win. So there are some obviously dirty things that happen in fights. And in karate, we like to use the ground, the floor, because when you throw somebody onto the floor psychologically, they actually are like, whoa, what just happened? 1 minute I was looking up, the next minute I was looking up. And while I was looking up, somebody's coming down, hitting or kicking me, and you know, that is totally disheartening, discouraging. And so using the floor, using walls, etc., as part of your arsenal means you don't have to hit hard, but maybe you pull a person into a wall and they bash their arm or their face or something against it. It's going to change how they see the fight, and it may slow them down a little bit. We kind of covered something up until about here. Next part of the kata, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This next particular movement, there's usually only one kind of explanation for it, and that is, it's very specifically an armbar, or getting a person into an armbar, and then how do you react from there. So, classically, maybe he kicks, I block, I grab on, and I push up. Now, he has two choices. He has a choice of, he may swing with that hand, or he may grab his hand. Okay, because if I have this on decently, he's going to be fighting against it. Now, should he swing, I'm working on the idea that maybe he has got a great pain threshold and he can handle the pain, and he feels that it's a quicker and easier option for him to take a swing at my head. Then, as that happens, the next two moves of the kata, Brian, stay there. Next two moves of the kata look something like this. I'm going to bring this hand here, and if I let go to hit and he blocks down, I still have both his hands engaged. Then I move to here, and so that becomes this. This hand pushing down, this hand pushing across, me stepping through, and again my opponent is on the ground. So he kicks, 1, 2, he takes a swing, 1, 2, 3, 4. Obviously, common concept of hitting with the person down, you'll see features quite highly in a lot of the bunkai because it's a nice way to deal with the person on the ground. That covers this. 1, 2. So classically, block and hit, but this doesn't make sense. If you're trying to block and hit a person, why would you twist your entire body up like a big spring? So when Sensei says, yeah, you're blocking and hitting and you're in awkward position, there can't be any transfer of power. So you've got to look at what that power is going to do as it unfolds. Now, the one idea that you could have is that it's creating that propulsion for the hike-uke that follows it. If I neglect that hike-uke and say that's a different line of combat, a different embusen, so therefore I'm not too particularly fazed by it, but I really like to use that energy, it puts us in a really, really nice position. So I'm going to try and put myself in a similar position where my arms are going to be up and my body's going to be twisted because I'm trying to do something different. So Brian, come this side please. Maybe punch low. So 1, 2. So now I'm in this position. I'm floating his arm with this arm. That's the upward movement. I'm pulling his arm with this arm. And I'm twisting myself in, push my hip against his, and that wind up of energy equals a really nice position to unleash that energy for throw. So I'm essentially lifting his arm up with this, pulling his arm with that. Blocking, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pull, pull, smash. He punches 1 and 2, like Seipai, or I catch and he punches again. Try to block his arms, block, he fights back, bring him around, up, clear, strike. This is classically what the bunkai is. A lot of the time you see that it's catching 2 arms. Never seen somebody catch 2 punches in the air, let alone catching 1 punch. You know, lots of times in the movies as a kid you'd see the martial arts hero grabbing the person's hand and turning their hand ever so slowly. Never really seen somebody do that unless your hands are really big. I have tiny little paws, so for me it's an impossibility. Okay, so the idea of these hands being in on my opponent, and I'm now going to be using one hand to draw in one way and the other hand to pull the person and to push them over another way. So we try something a little bit different. We're in this kind of position where what we want to be doing is with one hand we want to be clearing their hands over, the other hand wants to be pushing up and maybe around on the head. And the idea is that if I pull this way, I'm redirecting his body one way, his head the other way, and then if I turn him and push down, he's going to go down. 1, 2, pull, push, over the face, over the nose, under the throat, into the head. Step and help again. So that stepping back is probably, the stepping back is probably the most important thing, because it's the change of angle that allows the person to rotate, and that second step that allows the person to really be moved. And it's essentially, it's simple physics. We're moving our mass, and that is affecting the other person's ability to stand up, because you're not just using your arms, you're using your entire body, and you're using your shifting mass to help reposition them. Obviously, we are affecting their balance by attacking their arms, their legs, and their structure, their spinal structure. And the more we can affect all three, the better. So that kind of covers where I'd like to go. I'll do that one again just so that you can see. On top, so this feeling, 1, pushing, lifting, stepping, finishing, knee, head, striking or striking. A couple of ideas, a little bit more applied in nature, hoping that everybody enjoys it. Obviously, I've put the cart before the horse this morning, as I have not yet done a basics bunkai for Seipai kata, but I figured I'd rather like to play with some ideas that we were kind of milking during last week's training in the dojo, and that people can get to see them. Hi, arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you for joining. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment.